It feels like recently a lot of RPGs have almost forgotten the role-playing part of role-playing games. Even though Cyberpunk 2077 is my favorite game of all time, I definitely agree that some of its design in terms of role-playing specifically is sorely lacking. However, in Baldur's Gate 3, this is the complete opposite. At the start of the game, you get to choose between a big list of classes and races, all from Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and these choices are more than just set dressing. Throughout your entire playthrough, the decisions you make here in character creation drastically affect your experience for the hours to come. Each stat, every spell, and who you decide to make your character in terms of look and personality drastically affect every part of the game. I remember on one of my playthroughs as a gnome, I discovered that children had created a secret hideout underground, and one of the entrances was so small only my gnome could fit through, meaning that I had to go in alone without the rest of my party.
I can't fit through here. Wonder if there's another way in.
Still alive, so that's progress. Should mind my step.
But it's moments like that that make Baldur's Gate so special. Most games don't put this amount of effort into making your playthrough feel unique because, well, it's hard. It's hard to make content that is this diverse and interesting, and even more so, it sucks working so hard on different things that most players won't ever even see. The majority of races you can play as in Baldur's Gate are much taller than my gnome was, meaning you wouldn't have been able to even do this on most playthroughs, and instead you would have had to have found another way in. But it's that extra effort that Larian Studios is putting in here that really separates Baldur's Gate 3 from a lot of other RPGs. It truly feels like it's one of those games where you have genuine freedom to create any type of character you want. Even choosing different subclasses within each class will open up tons of new dialogue options, and situations that otherwise would have never shown themselves in other playthroughs. After playing over 8 different characters now, experimenting and seeing how the game changes, it's almost unbelievable how different one playthrough can be from another based on the character you're playing and the decisions you make. In one playthrough, you might kill literally hundreds of goblins and rid the entire region of their presence, and in another, you might be found partying and drinking with those same goblins after helping them out. Whoever you want to be, whatever character you want to make, the game allows it to happen. Want to be a badass villain who screams and pisses everyone off? You can do that. Want to be a goody two-shoes who tries to be the hero in every moment and save the day? Sure, go ahead. Want to be a sneaky rogue who steals from all the townsfolk and hides in the shadows while they complain to guards, only to then use that stolen money to pay bribes? The game lets you do all of it. You know, there's another super memorable moment on one of my playthroughs where I realized that because I was playing as a drow, the goblins in the camp who usually were very hostile to me on my other playthroughs were now extremely scared of me and would simply mumble and stutter as they let me by. Or another time when I first tried playing as a druid and realized I could transform into a massive and creepy spider, but even more than that, I could then go up and talk to other people in dialogue scenes as the spider, and people would react to it, along with me being able to now talk to other arachnids too. In almost every other game I've played where you can transform, the mechanic only carries over into new combat abilities, not a completely new experience in the game at every step. It feels like the game just gives you infinite possibilities to play exactly as you want. And more than anything I've ever played before, Baldur's Gate 3 fulfills that fantasy and freedom you would actually feel in person at a D&D table. Story moments aren't simply just a choice between a couple of dialogue prompts that nudge the story one way or another. The combat sections are more than just endless corridors of action. Everything in this game is meticulously designed around the idea of giving players complete and total control over their own experience. You can do things like distract enemies as the Bard class by playing your instrument in another room, sneaking across the rooftops and avoiding confrontation altogether, or just talking your way through everything while making witty banter. Your character's class, background, and choices are reflected in such interesting ways in the game, and it truly does feel like no matter what you do, the game is going to have a believable reaction to it. And this has another benefit I didn't realize at first either. When a game is structured like this, in the sense that the more and more you give to it, the more it gives back to you, it convinces you so much more to get wrapped up in it all. Things that I usually skip in other RPGs, like filler dialogue with vendor characters, now became a joy in and of itself because I knew how high quality the rest of the game was too. More than maybe any other game I've played, Baldur's Gate 3 focuses on putting more and more power into the hands of the player, and crafts an experience that truly rewards you taking your time and just role-playing, creating an entirely new person and adventure in your head with a game that lets you do all of it. But one of the most important parts of this formula is that Baldur's Gate 3 is a lot less rigid than other RPGs, because no matter how many options a game gives you, it's how a game reacts to what you do with these options that separates games from all other mediums.